coming of age in the 1980s, the Brat Pack was near the center of your cultural awareness. But for those of us experiencing it from the inside, the Brat Pack was something very different.
Welcome to DBL. That was a clip from the trailer of the new documentary Brats, all about the 1980s Brat Pack. So it's directed by Andrew McCarthy, who we all know from St. Elmo's Fire and Pretty in Pink. In the doc, he reunites with Demi Moore, Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez, Ali Sheedy, and more. Take a look.
Me? You around? You were not interested in talking about the Brat Pack for years.
I turned everything down.
How come you're talking to me?
Because you called me. It was time that we clear the air on a couple of things.
I love your stuff, Bob.
Hey, thank you.
I hated the Brat Pack for decades.
What a disaster.
If you could have the Brat Pack name not exist, would you?
Interesting. For many of the stars, this documentary was the first time talking to each other in decades. Andrew said he had not seen Rob or Emilio in 30 years. Wow. What do you think, Jeff, about this film and how the stars were labeled as brats back in the day? And just to provide some more context, it was New York Magazine, and this was coming from Chris Clark, our executive producer, who back then the journalists would follow these stars for not just like an hour interview, it would be all day, all night, and maybe even some additional time. And so they probably thought we all bonded with this journalist, had a good time, took them to the club, had fun. But in reality, when this magazine cover came out with Brat Pack splashed on it, and then the debauchery that this crew was, it was not a good look for them.
You know what, my just first opinion is it was a good look. They were the biggest stars of the 80s. They booked every single movie in the 80s. There was nobody bigger. And now you're looking back and saying, I wish we weren't called the Brats. It's like, you got a lot of success and a lot of money, and so do your children, off of the Brat Pack label. And they're all kind of still working. They're all kind of household names. Everyone we see in this video, everybody recognizes. I totally get retrospect, like what they went through personally. I don't mind hearing those types of stories. But from the outside looking in, those are all big stars, and they were successful for a long, long time, more than a lot of people today in Hollywood. I mean, everyone has their run, but it runs out eventually.
Kind of sounds like the Jennifer Lopez thing we did before, like you're crying about your celebrity when you yourself put yourself out there to be a celebrity in that respect.
Yeah, but one journalist could have changed their whole trajectory.
Absolutely.
What if they wanted to do other movies?
Right.
They were very oversaturated.
Yeah, they were very overexposed because they got everything. Again, Brat Pack was off of the Rat Pack, which was the Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., all those kind of places, and there was the coolness to that. But Brat Pack comes across as demeaning and a little condescending. But I don't know, I kind of agree with Jeff. They were the voices of that generation. They are what we think of as nostalgia, that group. And maybe they had a hard time with it, but it's hard to see from the outside how that could have been so traumatizing. One word.
I never looked at Brat Pack until right now, actually, as the word brat.
Me too.
I just thought that was their name.
That's
I
why
never
I
took
wanted
it as a
to provide
negative.
additional context, because I did not either. I always thought it was a compliment.
Yeah, like a play off a Rat Pack.
Right.
I thought it was just a Brat Pack.
No, they were the 80s excessive Brat Pack.
I feel like we would have been a little too young to understand,
probably,
you know, to that extent. But I also think, you know, when you're looking back at it, and a lot of them feel like it affected their careers and that maybe they didn't get as much work because of it. And it's like, to me, I look at it as a numbers game. For every Demi Moore, there's going to be a list of people who aren't going to reach that type of stardom. You can name any of those people, and we're still having conversations. They're very much a part of pop culture, you know, conversations for a lot of them. Numbers alone means that not everybody is still going to be a part of the conversation. But also in the 80s, wasn't everybody a brat? And like it was all like
greed and debauchery.
You know,
everything was extra.
Right.
Cocaine everywhere.
Yeah. So I don't know.
All right. Well, I'm excited to see it. I think it's going to be a good documentary. So it looks like former Olympic gymnast Mary Lou Retton is still recovering from a case of pneumonia that almost killed her 7 years ago.
Months ago.
7 months ago. Mary Lou made history in 1984 when she became the first American woman to win a gold medal in gymnastics. She says she still needs daily oxygen for her scarred lungs. Now, while she was hospitalized, her daughter started fundraising online for her mom's medical bills. Nearly $500,000 was raised in the fund. In an interview with ET, Mary Lou discussed her struggle to make money. Take a look.
After a divorce,
a financial devastation.
very much so, and then COVID hit. literally, COVID hit. And, you know, our job is to be near people and talk to them. And so there was no work whatsoever. So, I mean, it's not like it used to be, let's say that. Like, my height of my fame was years ago.
How was all that money used?
It's only going to medical bills.
Only going to medical bills?
Only. And then what is left, well, I think I want to give it to the American Lung Association.
Wow. What do we think about this? We reported on it a handful of months ago, and I remember reading the comments and a lot of people saying, why the heck should I donate to her? She's famous, blah, blah, blah. Not even knowing that, you know, I feel like a lot of Olympians fall under this moniker of you think because they're famous and heroic that they are somehow privileged with their finances for the rest of their life. That's not true. I know a lot of swimmers that, yes, she's been on the Wheaties box and I'm sure she made good money as a motivational speaker, but how can you even speak with her condition? Well,
that's what a lot of people thought, and what I actually hoped. I thought that, like, once you were an Olympian, you had lifelong health insurance. Silly me. Yeah, I'll just say this. You ask people to serve this country in the Olympics, in the armed services, to dedicate themselves. And when you show people the way Mary Lou Retton looked, quite frankly, she says she's destitute with oxygen that the public had to crowdsource and get. It's not a good look for you as a country when you ask for this person to put the flag onto their uniform and represent you. She represented a lot of corporations, and it's just interesting that she seems to have not received the proper compensation for that. And I will say this, Sam, before I throw it to you guys, I questioned where that money went. It looked to me like a money grab, and I don't feel bad about that, sadly, because we have been scammed so many times by feel-good GoFundMes. So, unfortunately, kind of, I was proven kind of right that they didn't take care of her, and proven wrong, happily, that she didn't misuse the funds. So, I mean, it's just sad we're having this conversation. I thought we would take care of her better.
Yeah, for me, just going off of what you're saying, where does it end then? I totally agree. I think the government should take care of our Olympians. But then where does it end? Because then another group of people will say, well, you took care of them. What about our veterans? You took care of the veterans. What about us? And then everybody's got their hand out from the government. I'm not saying you're wrong. I totally agree. I just, when you start doing something like that, where does it end? Who deserves the money and who doesn't?
I thought people in Congress had got lifetime.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Which is,
wow. I wish they were on our health insurance.
The point exactly.
Yep.